City Americans coach Rick Kozuback between periods. And first things first, there have been a lot of rumors this week about your fine forward, Brian Sakic. Will he play in the series? Won't he play in the series? Can you tell us right now? What does it look like over the next week to 10 days?
Well, at this point, he definitely won't play. There's no question in anybody's mind that he won't play the first two games, and it's very unlikely that he would play in any games in the playoff. His jaw was broken, and it's a severe injury, and we just wouldn't take the chance on any risk. We wouldn't take any risk with him right now, and if we are lucky enough to get out of this series, then maybe there's a chance he would play in another series. But at this point, we're not counting on him. We're making a statement that he's not going to play, and I think we have to leave it with that.
Coach, what happened with the injury? I know it didn't happen in a game. It was kind of a freak thing, wasn't it?
It really was. It was just a practice on a Thursday before a game against Portland on Friday. We'd been in Portland on Wednesday, and we were just having a real light skate on Thursday, and just in the process of doing a drill, he was bumped into it by another player, and his head hit the glass and cut him for 12 stitches above the eye. And at that point, we didn't think that the jaw was really injured nearer to the degree that it is now. It appeared at that point to be nothing more than a bruise. Had it originally x-rayed and really didn't see an awful lot. Went home that evening, and the next day came back, and his jaw had swollen significantly. Re-x-rayed it and found out that it was in fact broken.
So he went through the surgery and everything, and then the doctors recommended. I know you guys must have been on pins and needles waiting for that recommendation to come back.
Well, in a way, but I mean, originally we knew it was broken, and it's not the first time that I've had players with broken jaws, and when it happens, it's a real blow to you, especially when it's a player of his significance. But when we knew what it was, we at that point started counting on him not being able to return in the playoff.
Such a key to your power play. What do you do now? What kind of moves do you make to keep the power play on the high plane that it has been all season long?
Well, there's no question he is the key player in our power play. We have some other fine players as well, but he's definitely the player that makes it work. Without him, we would definitely not be in the high 30s or mid 30s the way we are. At this point, we've inserted Calvin Nibbs, who played on the power play with the guys that we have now. Last year, he was on the power play with Steve Jakes, Stu Barnes, Sean LeBrun, and we're going to put him in Brian's spot. We've used him a couple times earlier in the year. We're putting him back in there now. If our game against Spokane is any indication, we're not doing a very good job. We were 0 for 6 on the power play then. But I think he's very capable. He's as capable a player as we have to fill that role, and hopefully he can do it. If not, we'll also try to work Scott Levens in.
Okay, stick around, Coach. We'll continue our conversation with Rick Kozuback right after we take this time out between periods on the Seattle Thunderbirds Broad Center Coliseum. Sold out tonight for this one between Tri-Cities and the Thunderbirds with Americans coach Rick Kozuback. And it gets you a look at the season, and there's the old saying, you don't really build a rivalry until you meet in the playoffs. There already is a pretty good feeling of rivalry between Tri-Cities and Seattle. Can you see it intensifying even more over the next 12 days?
Well, I think so. I think it developed from last year. I think the first time that the franchise was in existence in the Tri-Cities, I think Seattle, Spokane, and the Tri-Cities developed an intense rivalry from the very beginning, and I think this year it's been a good rivalry. I think, for the most part, the games have been close. There have been games on either side that have maybe been less than close, but I think for the most part we've had some exciting hockey, and we've had some players on each team that have provided some entertainment, and I think there has been that internal striving to beat the other team, and I think that it will, in fact, get more intense as the playoffs go on if, in fact, we're able to be competitive. I mean, Seattle have such an excellent hockey team that we're just hoping we can be competitive and that rivalry can build, and if it does, then I think everybody is going to be treated to some excellent hockey action. Both here and in the Tri-Cities.
How about hot goaltending? Lorenz right now has had a great second half of the season. Olaf Kolzig, everybody knows what he can do. He's had some big games against Seattle this year, some outstanding efforts. You expect one of these guys to stand on their head in this series and pull it out for the team that is eventually going to win it?
Well, we hope Ole stands on his head for us and the other guys falls on his head, but I think Lorenz has definitely been a big factor in the games that we've played lately. I can't even remember the games earlier in the season, but of the last 4 or 5 games, he's just been outstanding. He's been a real force. The game that we really put an effort into to try to win, losing 4-3 the last time out here in Seattle, I mean, I thought he was just phenomenal. He stopped breakaways, just played really like you would expect a 20-year-old goaltender to play, and if he plays like that, Seattle are going to be a great hockey club.
The tough thing right now for Tri-Cities, you haven't won in Seattle's barn all year, and you've got Seattle with the home ice advantage. Is that the little thing, the burden on your shoulders right now?
I don't think it's a burden, but I think it's there. Everybody is aware of the fact that if you're going to win, you have to win in this arena. At one time during the course of the next 5 games, you may have to play here. But For us, it's really not a burden. I don't think we look at it that way. And we hope that the series can go long enough that we can get a chance. We don't really look at these next 2 games as being pivotal in the series. We want to try to win, obviously, but we're not really looking at having to win the next 2. We want to try to look at going back into the Tri-Cities, definitely winning our 2 there, then maybe building some momentum coming back in here. But it's obviously pretty critical that you win one of the games.
Okay, Coach, we wish you the best of luck.
All right, thank you very much.
That's Coach Rick Kozuback of the Tri-City Americans. We'll be back with the Scoreboard Show between